It kind of down here.
Perfect. Honestly, it's great.
Perfect.
All right. And I did hit that button. Okay, good. My audience knows this is me all the time. It's like, did I hit that? What is it? Can anybody hear? Yeah. So that one, and that one. Cool. All right. Not that one. I didn't hit that one. So many buttons, so little time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Louis B. Free Radio Show, Brain Food from the Heartland. And regular listeners, even irregular listeners, other than new listeners today, would know that I love people for the ethical treatment of animals. I love that they exist and that they've grown so much over the years. I'm going to a whole thing, Amber, I'm sorry, but my audience knows that I always say I'm a PETA man. And I'm grateful that you are here this morning. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Amber.
My name is Amber Canavan. I'm a manager of campaigns at PETA. So I mainly focus on protecting animals used for food. But, PETA, we speak up for all animals. So on a daily basis, we're speaking up for chickens, cows, bunnies, pigs, everybody.
Bunnies. I just put no one's going to see. I just put I've got rabbit stuff all over here in the studio. Your path to PETA. What can you tell us?
Well, I went to environmental science and forestry school. So my background is in environmental communication. And that really ties in with this ad that we just released. I'm so happy with it because we get to talk about how animal agriculture is so detrimental to the environment and ultimately detrimental to us.
When you think about some of the things, and you've known this for years, I've known it for a long decades, but with the new research and the new science, we learn a lot more about it in the last X amount of years. Getting the message out is what PETA does so beautifully. And I do want to talk about the ad that's going to be on it. I've got it linked up so people can watch it. It's powerful, very, very, very powerful. So tell us a little bit more about this campaign.
Well, the ad is, I absolutely encourage people to go see it. It's actually going to be airing on the SYFY channel this weekend. Really excited to get those people to see this. People who are, into survival horror and apocalypse movies and things like that. PETA uses a lot of humor in our advertisements and campaigns. This is a very stark warning that we're giving, that animal agriculture is one of the leading causes of the climate catastrophe, everything from water pollution, air pollution, the outbreaks of disease. We're currently in the worst avian flu outbreak this country's ever seen. Almost 60 million birds have already been mass killed on factory farms because of the way that we're, treating our fellow beings on this planet. So the ad follows a little girl who's walking around a very desolate city landscape, and she's saying, she's kind of addressing her parents. You told me not to go near the stove. You told me not to run into the street. But no one ever said not to eat meat or dairy because those things are destroying communities. They're creating dead zones in the oceans. They're contributing to the climate catastrophe that's creating more wildfires that are burning down people's homes. But the meat and dairy and egg industries have, taken a real page out of the tobacco and fossil fuel industries books and have found scientists of their own to confuse the public and influence policies and get people to keep consuming these products that are literally killing us.
And Amber, I want to say that I saw something recently, and it's not a vegan sandwich, but they use a plant-based patty. And I'm all for people cooking. I love that people, whatever. I love to cook. I'm not one to eat a lot of processed foods. I'll treat myself once in a while. Yet this is a Jimmy Dean product, and they've got like a sausage patty with cheese, and the patty is plant-based, big letters. And I thought, wow, things are really.
We never knew we'd live to see the day to see Jimmy Dean introducing a non-meat product, right?
Yeah,
and that's the positive thing. Yeah, absolutely the positive thing. You know, amid all of these doom and gloom things we see in the news, you know, every single time we see wildfires every summer, it feels like. You know, just horrible weather events and natural disasters and people getting pushed out of their homes, animals getting pushed out of their homes. There is positive, and you know, the awareness of how bad factory farming is has probably never been so high. The availability of vegan foods on pretty much every grocery store shelf, nearly every restaurant menu, we're getting there. But you can go on a road trip now and go to a small town and find the availability of the vegan food. And more people are eating it. We've know that you know, young people are definitely leading the way. Up to 10% of like 16 to 24-year-olds consider themselves vegan, and that's a big light on the horizon, right? But as far as, you know, tackling climate change, there was a really good study that just came out, and it's about methane, right? So we always talk about fossil fuels. We always hear about fossil fuels when you're hearing about climate issues, but methane is a huge, the animal agriculture industry is a huge source of methane, and it's much more potent than the carbon-based emissions. So we can do so much quicker mitigation of our greenhouse gas footprint by stop eating meat, dairy, and eggs, and give us that little boost that we need to try to avert, you know, that 2% temperature change that we're, you know, barreling towards right now.
And look at even people that I know that disagree with me on a lot of levels, people that I'm friendly with. I'm not one to unfriend people or defriend people if they have a different. I want to listen. I said, well, look at what's going on in California. I said, look at the snows. Look at the amount of snow. Do you remember the last time that happened? Don't you see something going on? I know here we've had a very mild. I should be careful because we have had snow in April, but it's very rare. That's why you remember it. And it's been so mild. We had a week, and I understand where I'm at in Ohio, it fluctuates. 1 week, I remember, was almost 70 degrees, and then it was snowing the next day.
Right.
That fluctuation. And then you look, you know, if you're watching the news, and they'll show, I don't know, 30, 40 degrees, 40 degrees change. It's wild. And I think people need to just be people that are saying there is no such thing as climate change, just need to be a little bit more thoughtful, just consider it. Nothing else, there's a lot of reasons in addition to that to be vegan.
Right. I mean,
I'll go for it. I'll ramble
bird
on.
flu. I mean, bird flu. It's and we've been warning about this too during the height of the pandemic. Mink farms were a huge hotspot for COVID-19, and you know, we got very lucky that it didn't mutate more than it did when it was in all the mink farms. I'm based in Oregon, and we had an outbreak here at a farm less than 2 hours away. That's very scary. You know, and it connects to a lot of different issues. We've been working on the Iditarod campaign in Alaska, and not only are they losing sponsors left and right because of PETA's undercover investigations and, you know, all the great work that Alaskans have been doing to try to change that. But they keep having to move their starting point further north and north. We'll take anything that will help put a stop to that awful tradition. But that's another warning sign. Even the ways that we exploit animals are being impacted by the ways because we've been exploiting them. It all comes in a big circle, and it's going to ultimately come back to bite us. It already has.
Yeah, it already has, and it's going to continue. It's going to worsen. Amber Canavan from PETA is my guest. Amber, some of the things, by the way, what you're saying about the availability of vegan foods, it's just I'm referred to by a family member as a vegan curmudgeon, because I will say, oh, the kids these days, they don't know what it's like. When you had to go, yeah. And there were products back then, yet they weren't like the products now. And
I was lucky enough to miss the powdered soy milk days. I just missed those days.
I remember there was a Chinese restaurant in town, and I would ask them to buy tofu. Because you have to go to a Chinese market, and it was close. And once I convinced them that, I said, no, not mapo tofu, just a piece of raw. And it was great that it was. Now I see tofu everywhere, and everybody knows what tofu is.
Mm-hmm.
It just blows me. Ingrid Newkirk, a co-founder of PETA, was on with me. I don't know how many years ago. I've told the story dozens of times. I remember her saying, Louis, I'm hiring people at PETA today that don't know what it's like to go into a store and not see plant-based milks. And it's like, when I see that expanding, especially in the refrigerated area, it's taking place of something, because for economic, whatever, the store thinks there's better profit, getting people in there, and the other one not so much. I look at the yogurt section and all the vegan yogurts and all the different milks.
The soy, the almond, the coconut, so many options.
Yeah. And it's everywhere. And I love when I hear people say, I tried it. And you know what? That's good. Or I had a burger, one of the plant-based burgers. It was really good. I was surprised. And people are reluctant. Some people are reluctant to even try.
Yeah. We're big on that. We love when our members tell us stories about, I just bought my, the person behind me in line, I bought them a vegan sausage. You go up to the checkout counter, you buy two, or maybe it's buy one, get one free. Sometimes you can see the Beyond Meats. I take advantage of those deals. You just get, hey, give it to the person in line behind you, pay it forward at the drive-thru if you're at Taco Bell or something like that. Bring it to the potluck, bring it to, vegan cookies to your, if you're not fully remote on Zoom all the time, bring it to the lunch for your coworkers. A lot of times people just need to try it, and they realize how absolutely delicious it is. And you can have all of those foods that you love, cheese, yogurt,
the cheeses are amazing.
Burgers, chicken nuggets, you can have everything. Or, you can have vegetables, lentils, chickpeas. Those are also absolutely delicious, healthy. Lower processed foods are also so much better for the environment. You definitely want that healthy mix, but you can have your tater tots and chicken nuggets. I do every once in a while. Yeah, and you can absolutely have those and not hurt animals anymore. It's great.
Once in a while, I will. I love to cook, and it's interesting when you said about beans, and because Dan Buettner, who's been on with me, he does the blue zones thing where people live the happiest, longest lives. They call them blue zones. And he said the one commonality is beans. All the blue zones, I can't remember, a cup or half a cup or whatever of beans. And they're full of fiber. They're full of protein. They're so easy to prepare. I can go on. And inexpensive, by the way. I know when a lot of people at the early point of the pandemic, people were hoarding toilet paper and things. I understand. I appreciate the luxury of toilet paper. Yet, where's the food? And dried beans, I really stocked up on dried beans. I thought, okay, can always, and we had other issues with supply chain, et cetera. I always wondered about where's your food. I get
Yeah.
you want the toilet paper, but yet
Chickpea, I'll just talk about chickpeas for, I'm a baker. So yeah, during the pandemic, aquafaba was such a
yes.
big lifesaver for me because aquafaba, if no one knows, I don't expect everyone to know what that is. It's the liquid from a can of chickpeas, and normally people just dump that down the drain. It turns out the proteins that seep out of the chickpeas into that liquid are really perfect for a lot of products, especially egg replacer, and whipped cream. So you can whip that up with a little bit of sugar and turn that into a whipped cream. You can turn it into mayo in a couple of minutes. You can use it as an egg replacer in baking. You can use it, you can put in a lot of things, soup stock to kind of help thicken it up. It's so versatile, and it's something that would have been thrown out. And even people who aren't vegan, I highly encourage people to use aquafaba because it can save chickens because you're not eating, you're not unnecessarily eating more eggs, and you're not wasting, which is great.
And if I would urge people to go to PETA, find a video of what happens to the male chicks. They basically put them in the garbage. They're grown,
They do.
found out alive.
Yeah, common practice in the egg industry. So you're never going to see a male chicken on an egg farm because they don't lay eggs. And yeah, they get rid of them usually the day that they're born at the hatchery, and they literally have a machine that was created to mass grind up baby chicks. And that's that's even the free range. That's even the chicks that you buy. I'm sorry, we have a cat interrupting here.
Hold up. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, I got to get a picture. Folks, listeners, I know listeners freak out when I do this. Can you hold the cat up?
He wants my bagel, but there he is.
There he is. What's his name?
This is General Bonkers.
General Bonk. I'm too easily distracted. I'm sorry, Amber.
It's fine. I was I was in the middle of saying the worst thing that ever happens to animals, and then I cannot have any closed doors here, so he
wants to do the gig with us. He wants to do the gig with us. But the eggs, I remember saying to someone a while ago, we were talking about eggs, and I said, my response was, and I knew this guy, this wasn't for somebody that I just met. I said, so you eat chicken fetuses? And he looked at me. I said, eggs, eggs. And I could see the stunned look. And then it was like, days later, I said, well, but they're unfertilized. They're not, oh, so you eat unfertilized chicken fetuses? I know that doesn't, it's just, and he doesn't eat eggs anymore, by the way.
It's a nice little shift in thinking, right?
Yeah. Just think about what that is or should be. People need to look at where their food comes from. I look at where my food comes from. You need to know. You need to look at a video from a slaughterhouse. And I'm always in awe of the undercover investigators that bring those films. I'm so grateful that they do that because I couldn't do it.
Yeah, we have so many videos on our website, and some of them aren't graphic, but they're just they're very educational. So before Bonkers interrupted me, I was about to talk about our Nellie's free range investigation, because free range people have warm fuzzy feelings about these types of labels, but they're still getting their chicks they're all getting their chicks from the hatcheries that killed all the baby brothers, hundreds of millions of them a year in the United States. And, when we actually when we send somebody to document the conditions there, you hear that they're, you would think that they're just running around in the sunshine and grass all day and getting held by little girls and cuddled. It's a factory farm. It's absolutely a factory farm. It's a giant shed with tens of thousands of birds and a small hatch that goes out to a small patch of rocks and dirt that, even if the chickens had a highly regimented schedule of who's going to go out for 10 minutes that day, they're fighting to get through that small hatch to a barren piece of land. And chickens are, they have to worry about predators. A lot of them don't even take the opportunity. It's safer and less scary in the crowded shed where they're getting kicked off of their perch every 5 seconds by another bird, because there's absolutely no way for them to form a pecking order. And they still kill them at under 2 years old because
they're still slaughtered.
Their egg production is going to go down. And the common methods of that are either sending them to the slaughterhouse, but oftentimes their bodies are so worn out, so beat down. This is a small animal creating an egg every day. It seeps the protein and the calcium out of their bones. Like 97% of cage-free chickens are found to have broken bones by the time they get sent to the slaughterhouse. That's almost all of them. And it's because they're still kept in these factory farm sheds. They just took the cages out and left all the birds crammed into there together. That's not a solution. No. But, people see that label at the grocery store. You absolutely cannot trust it. They're still treating them like machines.
I like when someone said to me a while back, well, I'll say still eating meat, still eating flesh is generally what I'll say. See, but I only get the one that says humane slaughter. And I think about what you just said, humane slaughter.
Oxymoron.
Right? It's like humane. So I'm going to kill you, but I'm going to do it humanely. I'm going to slaughter you. It freaks me out. That absolutely freaks me out. And again, I understand people don't want to, my saying is they'll point the finger, but fear the mirror. They don't want to examine themselves. And I know it can be painful sometimes.
Yeah.
Yet
to give people credit, the industry knows that people care about animals. They know that people were horrified by all of the scandals that happened in the 90s and 2000s, when Oprah Winfrey had the mad cowboy on and, she got sued and things like that. People getting prosecuted for taking photos of animals and then passing ag laws. They know that people don't want to support this type of thing. And they've come up with these marketing schemes to try to make people more comfortable with it. But the reality is it's still treating animals as products, as, a source of profit. And we have found time and time again, no matter how happy and how nice those labels and marketing schemes are, whenever an animal is used for profit, there's always suffering behind the scenes. And people just need to be really critical of that. And, we absolutely do not need to eat meat. We don't need to eat dairy and eggs. We can get all the nutrients we need. It makes us healthier, lower rates of heart disease, cancer, stroke. We're not contributing to the ocean dead zones from all the factory farms washing the nitrogen down the rivers, the manure lagoons that are leaking all over the place. I mean, it's a pretty simple solution for a pretty big problem.
Yeah, very simple. I agree.
Yeah.
I would, some of the other things that I've thought about, and by the way, I stopped eating flesh almost 54 years ago.
Wow. And, congratulations.
Thank you. I will still hear from people, where do you get your protein? And I'm like, I got it in the early days. I got it in the 70s, and I got it. I remember when I did that, I was still in school, and my mom wanted, you got to get blood work done. People didn't know. In fairness, people didn't know. And it's interesting that people will still occasionally say, so where do you get your protein? And I've got a variety of responses depending on who asks. Not
yeah.
It's like you're looking at me, and over a half a century, I'm getting it somewhere
Yeah,
other than eating flesh.
right.
So, yeah, but
Well, when people stop by our website to watch our ad, which I absolutely hope they will, we also have really great uh, where do you get your protein cards in our catalog. So, and we will send those to people for free if they ask. So if anybody wants one of those cards, I say that I keep one in my wallet, and it's been my good luck charm to stop from getting asked that question. But it does come up from time to time. So we have great resources. We have our vegan starter guide, which people can order for themselves or a friend. And yeah, so many great videos, recipe videos as well. But people should definitely watch this ad. It's so well done.
it is. It's so
It's so much
powerful.
more serious than some of our ads. You know, we love to use humor, but this is dead serious, and it's true,
Powerful.
and it's something we want people to listen to.
And we've got the times listed. There certainly PETA.org, but I've got the times listed, louisfreeshow.com, louisbfree.com. I don't know, WFMJ.com, but you can find that in the schedules that I have up, and for the to be able to see it, but you can see it online. I want to watch it at least when Day After Tomorrow is on. The other Zombieland, I not know anything about, but Day After Tomorrow, I want to see that. I'd be very interested to see that in that film.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. And what you're saying about vegan options at restaurants, two things. I'm stunned to see them. I'm delighted to see them. I had a former guest who's a professor and took a group of students to the UK and to Stonehenge, and he's not vegan. He said, "Louis, I was surprised. Little pubs have vegan options here.
Mm-hmm.
Just there, it's everywhere." And years ago, I've got an old stained one. I would carry cards in my wallet that I said, "I ate here because you serve vegan options. Thank you." And I would always leave that on the table.
Yeah,
It's
all
wonderful.
those little daily activism things. We love to see it. We love to see it. We always say, never be silent. There's so many little daily actions that you can do to get the word out there and
And do it.
advocate for these animals. I mean, there's so much suffering out there going on behind the scenes, and we want people to be empowered to get active and speak up, because we're the only thing these animals have in many cases.
Right.
Every undercover video we show, every vegan recipe we share, every vegan aquafaba whipped cream pie we bring to a potluck,
Right.
That can be a big change. Our daily actions can really make big change.
And by the way, you know better, but I haven't used aquafaba, but I have some. You can freeze it, correct?
I don't think that denatures, the protein. Yeah, I haven't tried it, but
I read that somewhere. And I've got some frozen for
yeah,
whenever.
I'm sure it would still work.
Now I want to do it. Now I want to find a vegan mayo recipe with that. That's my tipping point, because I don't.
Yeah.
I can't. It's too scientific and too precise. Seriously, it is. The other thing I want to mention very quickly, I know I've kept you a long time, Amber Canavan, but when you talked about the avian flu, something I've been interested in understanding for, I don't know, a decade or more, is the zoonosis, when it jumps species.
Mm-hmm.
And with avian flu, there's other diseases that have cross species. So even if you don't care, this is going to sound weird, you ought to care about humans, because these things are going to cross. They do. They mutate.
Mm-hmm.
They cross. Go look up zoonosis, and you'll see there's a wealth of information about it. And with the spread of avian flu, and it freaks me out. People should be aware, concerned, and then get into action.
Right. I mean, it's every single state has chicken factory farms. Almost everyone does. Or mink farms, and mink are highly susceptible to respiratory diseases. That's why, they were such a big player in the COVID-19 outbreak, both in the United States and especially Denmark. They ended up mass slaughtering, millions of mink. But in the United States, every year we raise and kill 10 billion chickens alone, and hundreds of
doing what they
millions
do,
of
folks.
cows, pigs, chickens. You cannot cram that many animals into filthy, absolutely filthy, stressful environments where they're getting injuries and passing things on to each other, and then going to slaughterhouses where the workers, and during the height of the pandemic, slaughterhouses were a huge hotspot for COVID-19 outbreaks because these workers are being put shoulder to shoulder with whirring blades and blood splattering everywhere. And, they're working very hard. Even slaughterhouses, I don't know if you just heard the thing that happened recently. A bunch of slaughterhouses were fined for having children as young as 13 years old.
Children
working in there, cleaning these blades and having caustic chemicals burning their hands. That's nothing new. The meat industry is built on exploiting low-income people of color, immigrants. They specifically thrive on people who are desperate, working these dirty, filthy, dangerous jobs just so we can have a burger.
Yeah, it's out. And now with the new products, by the way, about the products, I have to tell you, I subscribed to a newsletter that was mostly about vegan economics. And they had a list of new products. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. So I was wondering how often I would get it. It's 5 days a week. And they've got, I never thought, and I love it. All the new products, all the development, the cheese, like you were saying earlier, the cheeses,
Who thought there'd be too many choices?
The old vegan joke was, before your time, I'm sure. Did you hear that the vegan cheese factory burnt down? Yeah, everything melted but the cheese. So, and now I know Miyoko, there's that like liquid mozzarella that goes, and they bubble, they melt, they bubble up. The cheese, they feta cheese, it's just blue cheese. It just blows my mind. And I would sit there and make a pizza with the cheese. It tasted okay. The cheese tasted okay. It just didn't melt. And I, with my big smile on my face.
Yeah, no, the kids these days have no idea. You're right. I remember the days when vegan cheese didn't quite melt, and we've come so far. So far.
That's wonderful. Again, you can get recipes, information, watch the video. And I want to say, and again, I do my disclaimer. Remember, no one from PETA has ever asked me to ask for donations for PETA, ever. And PETA, I've had PETA people on for 2 decades, I believe. And I am asking that this work goes on because of the generosity of donors. So if you can, please do, and know that what you donate goes for, to get emotional, really good work. So
it absolutely does. Thank you so much.
If you can, please. And again, watch the video. We've got it up. Go to PETA.org and get more information. Amber, Canavan, thank you so much for suffering my madness today. And you're on my favorite subject. So of course, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us on. This was really fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad it was fun, not a pain. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back in just a minute with